Welcome to the Killer7 cast, episode number 4, I believe. We are going to be doing Encounter today with Curtis Blackburn. Excuse me. My name is James, Adilegian on the forums, and our commentators this week are...
Grant Dempsey, otherwise known as Grant Dempsey.
Millicent Herman, also known as Ely Delving and other things.
And SchwereViper, also known as Hal.
Hal, SchwereViper, thank you very much. All right, well, we're going to get this thing going. Loading up the GameCube emulator from the menu here. So now, just to recap, last week we did, hold on 1 second. Last week we did, what was it, Sunset? No, not Sunset. It was Almeida's Cloudman. Thank you.
Cloudman.
Yeah, that was the Andre Almeida level. Find Cam Clark's Southernism pretty easy to emulate on my end. But yeah, we did the Andre Almeida chapter, and this one is the Curtis Blackburn chapter, which, as Hal indicated at the end of our stream last week, that it contains some of the most stressing scenes of the entire game, which is saying something.
Including the first scene, as I recall.
Oh, yeah.
So, right off the bat.
Yep, that's right. Here we go. How's the audio? Everything okay? For everybody watching?
Audio seems to be fine. Yeah.
Okay, great. There we go. A little flatman. God, this load screen is just it's so well balanced visually. I love it. It's one of these things that just like I look at it, it feels good to look at. Here we go. Now this is something that's weird to me about Curtis's like presentation here. I know for each one of these, except for Cloudman and Angel, like with Cloudman and Angel, the way that the target is depicted after you select the chapter is identical to the way it's presented at the start when you're selecting the menu. But like Sunset here, they're differently arranged. And with Encounter, it actually flips Blackburn horizontally, which is really interesting because I think this is sort of his pose. This is his pose during the fight against Dan. And I find that I know that all of them have sort of like incidental motion when you're here about to select them, but I find the slight quivering here of involuntary muscles as he's holding up his head and his arms just very eerie. It actually has a lifelike quality that goes beyond the sort of marionette feel that a lot of the characters have.
So why the horizontal flip?
I don't know.
Do you think that was just an arbitrary...
Yeah, I mean, it could have been. That's the thing, is like, it strikes me as like, I don't know, it just suggests to me the horizontality of the way the character is presented in a game. Yep, here we go, starting off on the right foot.
I thought this scene would be kind of fun to talk about for a moment, but should we let it go first?
Oh no, I mean, what you see is what you get, so yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, I'll wait for a moment until what I'm going to say is relevant.
Okay. My God, we could be waiting all night. Kidding.
Well, I mean, mostly I just think this scene is interesting because to think of it in relation to the gameplay, because obviously Killer7 generally has sort of limited interactivity, but first-person view really tends to be when the game offers the player the most freedom, which freedom, especially in terms of movement, it's the only time in the game, as far as I can think of, that you can actually move and control movement. Which is funny because it also amounts to a freedom to fail, in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
you can miss, you can avoid hitting the weak spot, etc. But nonetheless, it's still sort of the freest condition in the game. And in this scene here, we have first-person view with Curtis going through this building.
Right.
And it's also the game's most sort of some of the game's most disturbing violence. But by sort of contaminating the freest condition that the game offers to the player, it's also sort of implicating the player in Curtis Blackburn's violence directly, not just in the obvious sort of visual cinematic sense, but insofar as sort of the one, vestige you have of activity in the game is lost here, and you're just watching other people being shot.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting because like the way that Curtis. Well, I think Curtis looks a whole lot like Dan right here, but the way that
same sort of facial structure, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think it sort of undergirds. It sort of supports the idea of Dan being Curtis's mentee / almost like a father-son kind of figure, and that is the ugliest hot dog I have ever seen in my life. But and I've seen some ugly hot dogs. Let me tell you what.
Mustard is just.
It looks very flat.
I know it's
just sort of a bendy piece of plastic stuck in the top of the sausage.
Yeah, well, the mustard's real. The mustard's real, but the rest of it, no. That's what you call it. That's what you call it.
Somebody just put mustard on cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much what
exactly. But yeah, it's like the way that Curtis moves through those areas. There are several different echoes back to a lot of what we've seen already in Killer 7, both from the first-person view, as Grant said. There's also, you're seeing it from his point of view, and you're pressing buttons, like with the elevator and stuff like that, which is very much that's Harmon Smith's MO in the game. There's also, this is a little touch that I think is both characterizing and also sort of self-referential, which is when he's sitting in the elevator, when Curtis is in the elevator and he's going up to the top floor, and he's like looking out the glass exterior, and it sort of zooms in on a rooftop with a spire, which is interesting to me for a couple of reasons. One, it's a characterizing thing, like, here he is, he's about to shoot up the immigration office, and he just kind of like looked out the window, was like, huh, look at that, and then went back to his, went back to what he was going to do. But the other thing is like, it's like it calls to mind sort of Kun Lan's anti-material rifle shell light that sort of ends on top of the Seattle Tower spire, and it's I don't know, it's interesting because it feels like it more than anything else definitely conveys that Curtis Blackburn in some way is of the same cloth as the Killer 7. Definitely Dan, but that's sort of that's how that always strikes me.
Sorry, Addy, just before we go on.
Yeah?
Just a message inside for you. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. What's up?
Here.
Hold on.
Lena has shown interest in joining us.
Open your mouth.
Okay, well, for the purposes of this,
Damn it.
Laner, join us afterward for the
What are you doing?
monster trivia and stuff. For the Killer 7 cast, it's sort of like limited focused participation, so it's absolutely nothing personal, it's just the way that this is structured. So, but yeah, there's Harmon, good old incapacitated Harmon. Garcia, how long has it been?
How long has it
I like how the serum, the serum icons simultaneously look like slugs, and they also look like they look like injectable vials, and they also kind of look like I don't know. They make me think of like some sort of makeup. I don't know I don't know what.
Yeah.
Like nail polish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's really interesting how that design is it's simple, it's easy to grasp, and you sort of intuitively know what it is, but it also conveys a few other things.
And bullets, sort of.
Yeah.
Or is that just on the? Or did you say that?
That's what I meant when I said slugs.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah. No, I didn't hear you say that. Sorry.
The master is awake. I find Garcian's.
The surge.
Oh, this is
It's
awesome.
Curtis. Curtis? The one who killed Dan years ago. It's as if fate has woke him up. He'll soon make his move. Shall I take care of him? Curtis? No, it's all right. He's just a punk with a gun. Dan's more than he can handle. As you wish. Samantha, the lights.
Yes, mister. Jeez, will someone wax the damn floor?
Will someone wax the damn floor? That is, I mean, this is a carpet, right? And this isn't like linoleum. Like, does Samantha understand the nature of waxing? Does she understand the nature of floor? I don't think so.
Does she really need to?
That's true. I mean, she gets paid a cool 20 every afternoon. When you're making that kind of money, you don't need to understand. So yeah, what they said during the cutscene, for those who are participating, who ironically can't hear because of the muting, is that Harmon noted that Dan is more than Curtis can handle. And it's also really weird because, like, Garcian says, "Shall I take care of them?" And Harmon says, "No, Curtis is just a punk with a gun," which is interesting on a number of different levels because it suggests, insofar as like that's clearly what Dan was to Curtis at the start. That's sort of what Curtis has become. So there's like he's sort of fallen from the stature of a mentor to somebody who is not even respected as a peer, at least in terms of like the general milieu that's or the crowd that Dan runs with. And on top of that, it's also weird because like they're saying that no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about handling Curtis. But I'm clearly about to go handle Curtis. So I'm not sure what the relationship between those things is.
Well, I mean, it's also interesting in sort of the obvious, basic player sense too, right? Like you're just about to go on to this whole new chapter, the goal of which is to take on Curtis, and the game is telling you, oh, don't worry about him. He's just a punk with a gun.
Yeah.
So, you have the obvious sort of player avatar discrepancy there, where you're sort of dreading this character you've just witnessed massacre a building full of people, and the avatar clearly isn't worried.
Right. Oh, this.
So he's after children. That's as vile as you're gonna get.
Hurry! Children are disappearing at the fairgrounds.
Blood of innocent children is unnecessary.
Okay, and he said the blood of innocent children is unnecessary, and what's kind of going on here in the context is that, hold on, let me see what this is, and then we'll wait until the cinematic's complete before we continue. ISDK land, which is Ishizaka land. Ishizaka ISDK is kind of it's kind of a general media electronics company in the Jump Over the Past, Kill the Past, Jump Over the Age games, as well as in Michigan, another Suda 51 game that was released only in Japan and in PAL territories, I believe. But
it's also Ishizaka is also the name of someone on the development team. I can't remember what their role was exactly though.
I think Ishizaka was a sort of like graphic designer, something. I kind of want to say that the
Something to do with the graphics.
yeah, like the strange objects and stuff like that that you use as keys. Um, but yeah, so what's going on here is there are two characters, Curtis Blackburn and another guy whose name will come up soon, but I forget what it is offhand. He shows up in the second part of the encounter. Basically, they're in these sort of like
Pedro?
say what?
Pedro?
Pedro, that's it. Pedro and Curtis. Yeah, they each have some sort of bureaucratic role with immigration, and what they do is they traffic children through immigration and harvest their organs for selling to people who make heaven smile. So it's like, again, the heaven smile phenomenon is sort of like made even more questionable as to exactly how these things are physically created, because you see the mother smiles that are creating them with eggs, you see them produced as sort of like religious converts, then you see the heaven smile virus in Cloudman, and now it's like there's this sort of like bioengineered Frankenstein thing, like for building heaven smile. So it's this, again, it's almost like every time you revisit it, you're getting a different view of the same world, and there's this inconsistency as to exactly even what the nature of the primary threat is. But yeah, beyond that, it's so like Curtis would get the girls and Pedro would get the boys, and they would harvest their organs respectively. And you see the location of that toward the end. But so that's kind of what's going on there, and I presume that's part of why Garcian is actually out here doing it, because even though Harmon said don't worry about Curtis, he's just a punk with a gun, this sort of merits immediate action. Oh yeah, and it's kind of interesting that you start off as Khan here, because Khan is he's the kid in the group.
Mm-hmm. And he is the sort to get excited over this sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Later on.
We'll see in a later chapter.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting though. Like, I wonder, like, I kind of feel like the more appropriate matchup for the boss of this is Dan versus Ione Blackburn. But
Really?
that's kind of my feeling. It's like the two different proteges showing down, and but going by the logic of the previous chapters, this has been established. Like Khan would be the more appropriate matchup.
Okay then.
Mm.
What did you say?
Okay then.
Okay then.
But yeah, you start out with Mask, Khan, and Coyote being active, because I believe their powers specifically are required for completing this game, completing this area. And that is Chicago-style font. That font shows up in the strangest places. White-haired punk with a gun. It's so weird to hear, like, somebody who's obviously an old professional referred to as a punk consistently. Something totally strange about it.
Like the killer7 and him are on completely different levels.
Exactly. Yeah. That's kind of like what Harmon's saying that makes me think of, because Harmon clearly has some sort of like quasi-eternal, transcendent personality, can have that perspective. An orphan trading syndicate. There's
Pleasant
some
place.
Say what?
Pleasant place.
Oh yeah, right. It's kind of, I don't know, there's something perennially creepy about a carnival in full swing without a soul around. But to its credit, this game also seems to avoid some fairly stereotypical, like, whoa, carnivals are creepy, kind of
There's
approach.
nothing innately creepy about the carnival itself. It's just that it's operating without anyone in it.
Yes,
Well, that's fairly creepy.
I know. You know the most creepy thing is? Lack of adult supervision. Let's see. I have the stamina ring now, which comes in extremely handy in this level, especially toward the end. There's a. I see a second protector smile there in the distance. I really like how the the ceiling has these like scrolling images of like LCD. What's the word I'm looking for? The kind of lights that they use to decorate like that.
Yeah, LCD,
LCD.
LED.
LED. Thank you.
Yeah, LED.
Oh, hello.
You.
All right, Mask. Curious, Grant and Hal, do you remember on the? I love that. Love those guns up there. On the soundtrack for this track, do they have the countdown that we hear like during the actual level? There's like somebody counting down, like for like a liftoff or something.
No, I think it's just the basic. No.
Gotcha. Okay.
None of the extra environmental effects.
Okay. I think
Wait, it's happening right now, countdown?
yeah, it's like you'll hear in the background just like this sort of like a launch liftoff countdown kind of thing. Like there's a man's voice counting down.
You.
I think this is really, I don't know, man. Just so much about this is so weird. Now the popcorn, this sort of like weird, buoyant, bouncing light source on the top with the popcorn going everywhere. It's a very strange, very, I don't know. It really does give that feeling of something having gone off the rails, and also an unoccupied feeling. And I forget, I think this is the one where Samantha's behavior, this is the chapter where Samantha's behavior becomes more overtly sadistic, is that right?
Yeah,
What did you say?
just about.
Okay,
Okay, there we go. Khan is great for hitting those spots, and I think I think he has the greatest waiver out of any of them. Outside of, I think he's even got a greater waiver than Mask. Oh, right. This is something else about Khan that doesn't show up in many locations, but it does here, where because he is blind, it's like he can hear the wind going through certain crevices, and cracks, and you see that physically represented. And if I'm correct, when you switch characters, that that effect stops.
That's right.
Yep.
Oh wow. I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. So that's it comes in particularly handy during some of the later areas where it's not entirely clear that that's what you're supposed to do. There's this eternal hallway. Well, an eternal hallway that ends, but yeah.
Takes long enough.
Yeah. Make of that what you will. Oh yeah, something that's... Oh god, these things.
That's 2 new enemy types in what? Just 3 areas?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. That's sort of out of the ordinary. It's also one of the easiest and one of the worst. I can never hit those broken smiles. And I believe... Whoops. That was not the way I wanted to go. But I believe that the... what are they called? What are the big ones that only mass can destroy? We just had the name of them. Well, I believe that they are the only enemy type from which mask can get blood, because I think that
Protector smiles.
protector
Yeah.
styles, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the that's the only enemy type that he can get thick blood from. And this is interesting because it implies that Iwazaru has been hiding the soul shells, which asks the question from whom, or if it is actually just Kun Lan. Oh, I need an object. If it is like actually considered Kun Lan who is hiding these soul shells, it's there's this double role that he has. One is as a antagonist to Harmon, and then bound up he is an aide. And just wanted to note, this is something I've noticed for the first time. I believe that this text that goes along these marquee lights, I believe that says passage.
Yeah, it looks like it.
I think I can see it more clearly
No,
from
it-
yeah, I see. Yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
the P is a little deformed, but yeah,
Well, the P and the first A are kind of smashed together.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly.
yeah. Especially from a distance, it looks pretty much like passage.
I remember.
Oh, and it says passage, doesn't it? I mean, that's what the game calls that direction.
Oh, does it? I didn't see.
Yeah, well, one of the options at that turn back there was passage. So,
Let's see. I usually oh no. Usually what I do here because I've got a what do you call it? Well, the mother smile, the smile generator. One of those things are coming up, so I usually try to unlock Dan here for that, simply because he's one of the best for it.
I can certainly see why these are your favorite smiles.
Yeah, more shooting. Yeah, this is a very strange puzzle over here. I mean, it's not so much a puzzle as it is an instance of look at this while wearing that ring, but
excuse me for a few minutes.
Certainly. An object.
This chapter is really filled with characters telling you that what you're doing isn't worth your time.
You're right, it is. What a strange oblique statement. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to go on lockdown for the sake of having that collateral shot. What a strange purple sky. Dangerous. I always find it interesting how Khan doesn't actually he doesn't actually run. They just speed up his regular motion animation so that he kind of power walks his way through the level.
Well, he's already running.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Normal movement is pretty speedy looking.
Defeat 3 more enemies.
He's just being fast forward.
Yeah, no, I think that is the feeling that it conveys. I didn't think about that before, but that's right.
So I guess this is as good a time to talk about as any. Probably something I would have mentioned earlier, as it's like a general thing, but I was thinking a lot about the connection between Killer7 as like a Japanese-style adventure game and like Yuji Hoри's first or second game, pure serial murder mystery. And you guys never played that, right?
I'm not familiar with that one.
No.
Okay, so it's pretty weird. It's like it's like an adventure game, a la Roberta Williams or something, where you click on things, examine stuff, talk to people. The caveat is the way the game characterizes you is that you're a detective, but everything you do is you ordering an assistant to do it for you. So you have this omnipresent other person who is your direct physical mediator in the game world. Like, he's the one who talks. Like, you tell him to go talk to a person, or you tell him to tap the wall, you tell him to abuse the witness, whatever the thing is. And sometimes he gives you lip back, which is fun, but he's always subservient to your will. The other thing, I think I was thinking about this because it also weirdly has this kind of inexplicable first-person passage. Like, the entire game is an adventure game, but very early in examining the mystery, you have this weird, like, wizardry dungeon in the basement of a house. But there's no like, RPG battles or anything. You just move through it in first person and unlock a safe.
Okay.
It's just, it's very odd.
Do you think that this game owes unstated inspiration to that?
Well, I think that's like the primary influence behind a lot of Japanese-style adventure games. It was apparently, I have to take other people's word for it, but it was apparently very successful.
Okay.
It was one of the ways Hori got funding to make the first Dragon Quest.
Oh.
I guess was because that's how he built his reputation. And it also has the same kind of menu system, except again the menu system is used to manipulate your partner or your assistant, whatever he is.
Is it kind of like in the vein of the old not Infocom, that's text.
Yeah, like a Sierra game or like Monkey Island. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Except I believe it predates Monkey Island and a lot of those other the Maniac Mansion style games.
Okay. Right.
But
Scum Engine games. Oh yes, this is awesome. I know the game wants me to feel that this is awesome, but I do. and mask levels up.
It's hard to not have anything involving mask be awesome.
I agree, except I don't understand why his stomach is somehow flowing over the what do you call it? The belt. That's actually really gross and really freaky. As a matter of fact, you can kind of see it right here.
Well, it's been a while since he's been in the ring.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I guess maybe he should have let that out a little bit before getting into it, but I guess...
No, but it's also under the belt buckle. So, over the belt, under the belt buckle. That's got to be painful.
I guess under the belt is kind of his style, or below the belt. Sorry, I really could have made that a successful pun, but nope.
Next draft.
Yeah, that's right. Oh god, no. Giving us a sneak preview of what to dread in the future. I never actually played any of those old Yuji Horii games. I don't know, what do you think the lineage is? Is there anything over here? No. Hold on, I need to calibrate myself. What do you think? I feel like it's probably safe to say that at some point, a lot of any kind of Japanese adventure game concept and design execution will get back to Dragon Quest. But, like, this game clearly draws a lot of its inspiration, a lot of its character from, what do you call it? From, like, Resident Evil style adventure gaming, which is a very different kind of feel it's a very different kind of feel from the Dragon Quest style thing. What kind of lineage?
Well, it's kind of a if you think about it, there's a lot of commonality between the way they operate. You have a very strictly limited inventory for the most part. You've got you also have this sort of, I guess, like procedural engagement with the game's physical world. Right, like you're not like in Dragon Quest. You know, to do most anything in at least the first 4 games, you have to press a button to access your menu, and then use the menu to check something or talk to the person, whatever you want to do.
Right.
And Resident Evil also has that. There's that. It's full of those weird kind of hiccups where you approach something, you touch the herb, the game asks you, "Do you want the herb?" You say, I want the herb, and then it goes. There's always that kind of weird. You're being insulated by text, I guess, from the physical space of the game.
No, that's a really good point. That there is a point where you, I guess, like if you were to distill the experience of accessing a menu down into, if you were to distill the experience of you accessing a menu to interact with the game down, I guess it would be like you're going through different steps of confirmation. Like you're going through different processes of confirmation to. Is this where?
Well, okay, so the other, I guess, like the other really mysterious thing to me about the Resident Evil text installations, the way sometimes the text will it'll change its opinion on what an object is. Which I guess you could probably draw back also to maybe even like wizardry and stuff like that, the concept of identifying items.
Right.
A lot of them will checks where the whole text of whatever you examine the object will change, or it'll change the name of the object.
Right.
Which is it's always been super weird to me. I don't know, like killer7 is very texty. I mean, the text overflows even to the spatial navigation.
Right. Yeah, that's how you make your 3-dimensional choices. It's also, in a way, sort of how the... oh, that's cute. He's wearing a shirt with coyotes on it. Man, this is so respectively weird. Like, how is her head that small now?
Well, hello, Smith.
The emoticon. The suffocating crowds are enough to raise your blood sugar level. I don't know what that means. I mean, You only get a blood sugar raise when you eat things, not from being around people.
Well, it's Susie that we're talking about.
No, that's true. There is a weird. I mean,
Wait, Addy, are you saying you've never gotten diabetes from talking to someone?
I did, but then I mean, that taught me about having friends, and I decided not to do it again because it's just really not in my health's interest. I warned you about talking, bro. That phrase is endlessly mutable in a way that I respect. So, like, if you don't like what you see, why you gathered around like vultures, curses upon you. Yep, this is the Susie that I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that is the Susie that she was in life. Oh God. I find that particularly eerie because it's like, while you were talking to your undead head, these giant things manages to creep into the theater behind you, and just the slow, gradual ascent. That actually does have a survival horror quality to me. I really like how the, unlike a lot of other areas in terms of like the visual representation of the space, it's like you've got, I'm using my mouse in the stream right now to indicate, you have the central location of the chest, the central location of your character, and you have these different gradients and lines indicating it, almost pointing to it, but then it does break that symmetry with the strange audience chairs right here, because like if this is actually the center, then I would think that there would be like symmetry of chairs, because the aisle usually goes straight down the center. I don't know. It's a very strange way of varying the way that something fairly normal is usually represented.
Yeah. Well, it looks like simply standing in the center, but towards the right column.
Oh yeah, no, I see that. Interesting. Oh God. Yeah. Oh, that's great. My cat managed to get inside a box that was inside a box. That has got to be like cat heaven.
And Solid Snake Heaven.
Right? Alright. I think Encounter has among my favorite sort of like gameplay / enemy types in the entire game. It's just there is enough variety here that you do feel like, you feel like your choice of Smith actually is consequential to success. Whereas before you could pretty much just like, well, it's Dan / Coyote / Con time. Really, whatever your preference is. Do you know, well, that's actually also interesting, Millie. Whoop. Oh, shit. Hold on. Let's see if I can do this. Nope, I can't. I need Dan. It's interesting because I believe Shinji Mikami did Sweet Home, right? Which is also kind of Dragon Questy in that regard.
Well, that's very obvious. Like, there's really nothing else Sweet Home could be riffing on. And although it's a lot more compressed than the normal Dragon Quest. I guess there's an even tighter inventory. There's also like killer7. I hadn't actually thought of this, but there's a very strict difference in the way the different characters play. Like they all have very blunt,
oh yeah,
purely functional elements to them. Like there's vacuum cleaner girl.
Yeah.
There's
Like these strangest
open the door guy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There's I think Kazuo is just kind of I am leader.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe he's like stronger or something. I can't remember anymore.
Dude in a trench coat. There's also Takashi who has the camera, which
Right, camera and the lighter. There's a lighter guy, I think.
that's Kazuo. That's right.
Is that what it was? Oh yeah, because he burned. Yeah, okay.
You
He can burn wood.
He had the sort of hard-boiled trench coat look. So clearly, probably, he was smoking a pack a day. In the fanfic I was writing. Why is there such a dearth of Sweet Home fanfic? I think that is the greatest tragedy of our time. Greatest.
Dangerous.
Just briefly curious if Khan's other animations sped up, but his reload animation is the same speed. It's really just his running that changes. It also, going back to the whole idea of like text being an arbiter of choice in the Dragon Quest games, as well as in the Resident Evil style games. It's also interesting that you are actually not given those options in Killer 7. Like those choices are not. You don't have that kind of volition, and you don't have those choices, because if you look at an object, you take it. If you look at a puzzle and you have the key, then you apply it. It's entirely out of your hands.
Even the joy of the menu navigation is denied to you. You can't even go and look in your items to use the key.
That's sorry, what?
Well, you can look at your items, but you can't touch them.
Right. You can cycle through them and stuff.
Sorry.
I think it's very strange that Curtis Blackburn in that photograph is wearing a sort of black sneaking suit style outfit, as opposed to the white that he wears all the time in the actual game sequences.
That's supposed to be an old photograph from Dan's time alive, or what?
I don't know what that is.
Possible.
It's also interesting that this is, I didn't think about this, but this also sort of gets back to kind of that overlapping of that identifying of Curtis with the Killer 7, because this is very much Dan's initial pose. This is very much how we see him at the beginning when the camera transforms Garcian into him. It's a top-down view. It's that voyeuristic sense of control. Hold on one second. I'm going to stop and restart the stream real fast so we can make sure that we don't